Hey, good morning, evening, afternoon. Mas Sajady here. Welcome to Mas on Sunday. Today we got a special topic that we are going to be talking about. Again, it's about resilience, resilience of what's happening with, well, with the illnesses or mysterious illnesses that are out there. We're going to cover a few topics here, and I just want to get to them. Just give me a second here. So, in this episode, we're going to explore critical subjects such as unraveling the mysterious epidemic of, say, sudden deaths among healthy young adults, young individuals. Kind of crazy how all these things are coincidental to the COVID vaccine, or are they an actual cause? Again, I'm not here. I'm not here to say yes or no. I'm just here to say open up the facts, and then you guys make up your own decisions. So we're going to go through that, navigating potential after effects of vaccination, demystifying the long COVID enigma, comforting the unspoken shame among healthcare heroes, and then illuminating the impact of the pandemic on mental health and at addressing the alarming surge in suicide rates during and after the pandemic. Okay, so again, just right off the bat, I just want to preface that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. However, with my abilities, I see future events predicted with really high accuracy. I would say about 99% accuracy. It might be a little different, but again, the general theme is there on how accurate my predictions have been. So basically, I see what happens in the future. If you do, for example, many of you who have come to me, um, it's like, hey, Moss, I want to go do X. I want to start a business. I want to start this relationship. I'll tell you, say, the future events, not tell you if it's good or bad, right? Because that's up to you and how you transform that event. So again, that's key. No event is good or bad. It's just how you learn and expand from it. If you're a frequency ninja or an XI ninja, anything that can happen to you can be turned around into a most expansive, say, experience for you. But if you're not, that experience will be negative. This is where, say, wealth can work for somebody, and then for somebody else, it's very devastating. Divorce. What's his name? Jordan Peterson should never divorce, but it works for a lot of people, right? Especially if you've been in abusive relationships. So I'm not that guy. I'm not that say outspoken thought leader that says, "Hey, you should do this or you should do that." It's not about that, because then you get into, say, religious aspects, and then you get into cults, and then you get into division of humanity, and that's where we don't want. This show is all about uh, um, enhancing humanity, being your best possible self, being the best possible self, determined not by your version or definition of being your best possible self, but defined by your innate, say, state, or say God-given abilities of being your best possible self. And God, again, don't want to get into that subject. You can practice any religion, but there is one definition, say, of purity, of being your best possible self. Look at nature. Nature has, say, gravity. Gravity only has one definition. Okay, simple as that. Anything logistically that happens here in this physical world, okay, the physics of this world, once we study it, it literally has only one version of it. So in this case, God would obviously have just one version. Although we have different varieties of how we should look at it, obviously all those varieties have exceptions to the rule. So they're not the best possible version. So keep searching. Again, if you're on that religious path, I'm not saying your religion is wrong. I never say anything is wrong. I never say anything is right, like I said. But you need to take advantage of it so you can be the best possible version of who you are, so your loved ones can transform as well. I just want to talk about that before we get into this COVID pandemic again, because it's starting to resurface itself. Is that, you're on the right track when people around transform for the better, so again, you know you're on the right track when you don't even have to do anything to the people around you. You just be your best self and they transform to their best version. Okay. You know you're on the right track because your genetic pattern, your DNA dictates that that's what your DNA is always searching for the best possible version of itself. So it's always sending out frequencies and it's always picking up frequencies around your environment. Okay. So that's where again you don't have to do anything except improve yourself, and then your loved ones change, and then their loved ones change, and so on and so on, and that's how we change the world. Any other way, it's always a fight, it's always demonstrations, it's always wars. Okay? And then what happens? We keep recycling, we keep repeating those old damn patterns that we should let go of. The reason is, well, you should know the reason by now. I hope that was an aha moment for you, is that we didn't change at our base level or what we're supposed to be like. We changed according to what we think it should be like. Okay? And that's why things don't work out. All right. So again, that's a whole subject in itself that we cover, through the 18-day hyper meditations. We'll be covering that in London coming up in October. We'll be covering it into that grander version of who you are, especially in Ibiza. So there's a lot of things open for you that you can study who you really are and get into, say, the limitless self that you are. All right. So I'm going to show you some graphs. And again, these are not my graphs. These are just statistics that my team put together, so we can actually analyze the logistics or the statistics. So it's not just theory. Okay? This is literally what's happening to the world. So just bear with me. I'm going to share the screen for a second. And am I sharing now, Demi, or no? Okay. So fail to share screen. All right. So the first graph that I'd like, yeah, hold on a second. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So the first one, uh, yeah, I don't. So sorry, guys. Let's find the leading report here. Just give me one. Okay, so leading report again. Breaking news: 1 million mRNA COVID shots for teens will prevent 0 to 1 COVID deaths. Again, just it'll save one person, or maybe not, because COVID had a very small chance of killing you if, just like the normal flu that we get, if you're healthy and vibrant, you have a very small percentage of, say, dying. Okay, and if you're not, well, you cross over again. Just any flu will do that to you, not just COVID. But COVID deaths again, 0 to 1. It'll save at least one person per 100,000 to 200,000. So out of 1 million RNA COVID shots or vaccines for teens, it'll prevent one death and cause 100 to 200,000 severe side effects, according to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, own data, and you can go to cdc.gov to look at that. So I just want to talk about that for just a second, because now in the past, they would never have that. But now, to me, I think they're just covering their ass because they were showing. It's like, see, this is the way we had it already. We already calculated this. So again, that's just my theory. That's just my personal theory. I could be wrong on that. But even the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the leading expert on diseases, is saying that for every million shots, you're putting 100 to 200,000 people in jeopardy. Severe side effects, and we're going to be talking about some of these severe side effects. So we'll go to the next screen share here, and uh, and again, just bear with me, guys. This screen share is a little clunky, so we'll just go into some logistics and statistics, and we'll talk about All right. So this one, cause unknown, the epidemic of sudden deaths in 2020, 2021, 2022. Um, uh, Again, tons and tons of individuals dying just right off. Famous basketball player, I forgot the guy's son, just died. There's a ton of young adults, and I can explain the reason why that happens from an XI perspective. So, so cause unknown, again by Edward Dowd and Robert Kennedy. They're looking into the after effects on why these young individuals who is just mysteriously dying. And if you can read again, Ed Dowd, managing director of BlackRock. BlackRock, probably not the best um, uh, corporation out there, but even him, he started to pull away from BlackRock. He started to wake up, and a lot of people, you're going through you're going into that success direction, but then you know that your success probably is like abusing or distorting or causing a lot of, say, causing a lot of um, destruction for others. So those people with a conscience, even if you're in that state, even if you're a family, one of the dark families, say, that control this reality, or control this reality, or they think they control this reality. Those individuals within those families are starting to wake up and go, shit, you know what? We started off it for a good cause, and now we're controlling and we're consuming literally souls of individuals, because that's what you do when you start to control or create technology. So, or businesses that just reap on again profits with no conscious. So that consciousness is awakening for many individuals, like Ed here. He found himself withdrawing from Wall Street to study the expanding and tragic epidemic of sudden deaths among healthy young people. So again, it's not them, it's not us, it's just the awakened and not the awakened. No matter what you're doing, again, what you're doing on the outside, once you start to have a consciousness defined by XI, right? Once you start to awaken, it's like, shit, this isn't really the best purpose of my life. Okay. We do away with, say, who we are, what our career is, and we come back and we step back into, say, our own true self. And when you're doing that, by the way, um, when you're doing that, you start to really recreate the world, and that's what this world is about. So it's really an exciting time. This isn't end of the world. This isn't, watch out for them or anything like that. This is like really awakening consciousness by looking at where we are. All the data that I'm providing you are reference points, again, solid reference points on where we've taken humanity or the human species. So, and that's the key. And then many people going, shit, we've gone way too far. And now we're waking up, which is really nice. And hopefully this Moss on Sunday will help you with that. Let's see here. Let's go to this graph here. And again, they can see this. Right. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Got it. Yep. Alrighty. So myopericarditis. So this is just amazing graphs. And again, you can't. Is there something to it? It started at 2021, 2022. That's where a lot of this is my assumption on where a lot of young people sudden death. Because if and then pericarditis, and again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but what it is, it's a system around your heart and around your lungs that protect it from, like, shocks, and it absorbs the shocks. So it's literally like a sack that's around your heart, and your well, special organs, your heart and your lungs. Okay, and then what happens is that with this vaccine, coincidentally, I don't know, but it looks like from the vaccine, and even if you didn't get the vaccine, like my son and I, we got COVID, and we had some effects of that, and it really affected my heart. It almost put me into that third near death experience, I believe, which again I used for a benefit. It allowed me to reset my heart. It allowed me to recreate it, and tests prove that. My son as well. My son, you all might know Zeus. He had some of the similar issues of of the same thing. Young kids having heart issues or even passing over. So I was really afraid of that with my son Zeus. But we managed to go through it. He's getting healthier. I'm getting healthier. But again, when you start to ruin that space, that sac, and what happens from what I see with COVID, either the vaccine or again just natural COVID. And I'll talk about the COVID virus itself. Even if you didn't get the vaccine, what happens is that it shrinks. It literally wraps around your heart, and it gets tighter and tighter. And then as it gets tighter and tighter, well, it's hard for you to breathe. And then if it's harder for you to breathe, then it's harder for you to exchange uh, the transfer of blood, and it messes that up. And then again, your heart can't move as efficiently. So you feel like it's kind of a heart attack, but it's really not. It's just this sac that's around your heart and lungs just getting tighter and tighter and closing up. So that's again, this looks to me like, hey, something's going on, right? Something's going on with the vaccines, or it's around the same time as the vaccines. I'm going to stop sharing the screen here, and then we'll go to another screen share. And these are all, again, just statistics that we are just observing. These aren't my statistics. And this is all by Cause Unknown by Ed Dowd, right? So again, the source of all these is from the book Cause Unknown by Ed Dowd. So quite an amazing man. Again, highly successful, super wealthy, obviously, and now he's like, you know what? The wealth, that's not true wealth for me. So those individuals don't despise, say, the wealthy. Right? It's just like the wealthy despising the poor. The poor despise the wealthy. It doesn't work out well, guys, because it's not about being poor or wealthy. It's about your state of consciousness being in that state. And as you elevate yourself to a higher level, well, you naturally will become abundant because that is your natural state. But just because you're abundant doesn't mean that you're awakened. See, and most people get that wrong, right? So I really have to hand it to Ed here. Excess death rates before and after vaccine mandates in multiple countries. Again, look at the death rates. I don't know. Is it coincidental, or again, is there a direct correlation? I would say there's a direct correlation. Um, even a lot of high level individuals who are backpedaling, the pharmaceutical companies, some of the healthcare industries, say that you went to a hospital, for example, and again, it's not all hospitals, but some of the hospitals that I've known about. It's like if they gave you that vaccine shot, they won't treat you. I don't know if it's accurate for all of you. Again, if you have experiences, if you've had that experience, put it in the comments. But from some of the friends that I've had, or half a dozen, they would not treat, say, that patient again. Kind of interesting, right? Kind of crazy as well. So again, even Elon Musk, I like Elon Musk. He puts it out there. Um, Again, not completely not XI, but again, he's got some really good points. He says, "Hey, you know what? We've got to take a look at the correlation. No matter there's correlation happening there. So we got to take a look at it and really just be factual." So I'm gonna stop sharing this screen and then go to another. This is menstrual hemorrhages by year. Again, through your menstrual cycle, right? So, again, direct correlation, kinda crazy, right? Is it a is it just random, or is it, something that is causing this? And we'll get into more of the details. I'm gonna stop sharing that screen for you. So it's a really fantastic book, by the way. Let's see this one. Excess Mortality by Detailed Age Band. 20, if you look at 2021, deaths for employed middle-aged working class. So 2020 all the way through, look at that, 178 deaths at the younger age range, 25 to 34. Again, healthy should be healthy individuals, right? Going through a normal flu season, but this starts to make me wonder. Is like, well, was it just a normal flu, or was it, say, a manufactured flu or mechanical flu? And just from my experiences working on individuals who've had COVID, I see this is where long COVID happens. Um, I see a lot of residue from just the virus COVID. Right? Normally, the flus are there for you to heal and flesh out. And this is where flus happen in the fall season, right? It's flu season. It comes in. It's actually naturally good for you, but then we take vaccines and so on like that. Even before COVID came, the flu vaccine and so on. Again, to me, they're not the most effective, and it destroys your natural immune system. Again, this is just all my thoughts. What happens is flu, the natural reason why you get flus is like it allows you to create, say, a sense of death for you. Now, let me explain. Okay. So in the fall, nature, it's its natural cycle. Okay? Nature, basically, what happens in the fall, leaves fall off, dead branches, it starts to recycle. So again, that's the death cycle that I talk about. It's those things that aren't needed, right? So, and then in the wintertime, it dies off, right? And winter is a space of death, and it allows what died or what should die within us, like old habits or old belief systems, old relationships, old whatever that we should not be moving forward into the coming year, that should die off. Just like in the fall, you should peel that stuff away and let it die. And then it turns into fertile soil in the springtime. And then, so what died off turns into fertile soil and in a space of strength, right? And expansion. But as humans, we do not do that. Whether it is, again, we're trying to save ourselves from a flu because of COVID. If we were naturally healthy, and this perpetuates natural health for the human species as well. So we try to protect ourselves. But when we're protecting ourselves, we're making ourselves weaker, because as we evolve to higher and higher, say, levels of consciousness, or in higher and higher levels of environments, well, your immune system will have to stay up to par to whatever environmental, say, bacteria or viruses that are at that level. And I'll talk about what viruses and bacteria are actually about in just a bit. But if we protect ourselves, or we don't allow ourselves to strengthen from it, okay, we get weaker and weaker by protecting ourselves. Um, and if there were natural vaccines, again, I'm not against vaccines, but back in the day, natural vaccines, again, just like your normal, in nature's method of vaccines, is what they would do is like they would inject you with a weaker version of, whatever virus or flu, whatever virus or bacteria, and then your body would create its own immune system. But in this vaccine, and even in this COVID, just getting the COVID, it didn't it didn't prevent you from getting, the COVID flu. It also didn't. it didn't allow your natural immune system to build up resistance to this COVID, again, which is kind of strange. So either the vaccine and just getting the COVID itself, it didn't initiate your natural immune system to create, say, a stronger, healthier immune system. So that's why after a lot more people got COVID. So so let's take a deep breath in, and let's turn this into a experiential experience. You start to see that if you protect yourself from that space, you're going to get it some other time. You're going to get it later on, and then you're going to be that COVID, that flu is going to be a lot worse than where you protected yourself. Because again, as you go into, say, each year, things get a little bit more intense as far as viruses and bacteria go. So you always have to stay up to date. Right? I'll talk about the reason why. I'm going to stop sharing this screen here. And then I think we're towards the end here. Daily death rates before and after vaccine access, February 2020 through 2022. Kind of crazy, right? So you can't deny these facts. Sorry about that. And we'll share one more screen. Okay. So these are injuries, disabilities, and then excess death. So estimating the economic impact, and it's just costing society, but then it's also costing us as and we're gonna if you want, I don't know if we can put this PDF somewhere and you can actually take a look at the links that are here. Okay, so you can do more studying if you'd like. So if we can do that, put the link to this PDF that our team has created. Really fantastic information. You can access the links on your own. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing here. All right. So what does XI think of all this? All right. So unraveling the mysterious epidemic of sudden deaths among healthy young individuals. So what COVID does and what I've seen, again, this is just my information that I've gathered researching individuals, my clients, which I have a lot of over the process of these past few years. This has allowed me to do my own research. Again, it's not clinically proven or anything like that, but this is what I'm seeing. Okay, it could be totally off, could be random, but this is what I've seen. So what I see as far as COVID goes is that COVID accelerates whatever that you have. Okay. So, for example, if a young person, especially is say under a lot of stress or is carrying, say, the natural genetics of their mom or father, mom or dad, and again, they're under a lot of stress, or they're not eating, say, the best diet, especially a lot of sugars, from what I'm seeing. So you get the COVID, or you get the vaccine on that. What happens is that both the vaccine, a little bit more intense than the actual COVID virus, which is a little weaker version of basically the vaccine, from what I'm seeing. Um, yeah, from what I'm seeing is that, again, it accelerates all the weaknesses, genetic weaknesses that you have. So if you're, say, like, for example, your father has heart issues, right? Or your grandparents have heart issues, and then your child is carrying that gene, although that gene, that propensity isn't there at a youthful age. But they might get heart issues later on because, again, it runs in the family. What COVID does is it'll accelerate, especially if that child is that young individual is under stress, not completely in time or space. Again, disoriented or distorted from where they should be, and then not the healthiest diet. It just accelerates what they do, and then what happens is that whatever that was supposed to happen in their 60s happens in their teens and 20s. So if you're going to die, say you're going to die statistically, you've got, say, heart issues. What happens is that, your heart is going to, you're going to, clunk out at 20, 10 years from now. The COVID or the vaccine will accelerate that time for you. So instead of dying in 10 years, you might die in 3 years, or you might die in 3 months, or right after you get the jab. And again, that's happened before. Right. So it just accelerates. And this is where people or science goes, well, that's not a COVID death, or that's not whatever it is, because COVID is a magnifier. Okay. COVID in itself, overall, the vaccine and the virus itself, it's literally a magnifier of the weaknesses that you are. Unfortunately, it just takes it too far for people. XI, again, I'm not relating it to COVID, but wealth is a magnifier. XI basically magnifies, say, the weaknesses that you have. Spirituality, falling in love, is a magnifier, right? But those things, the natural states, those things that I talked about, XI, love, wealth, um, better relationships. Again, those are magnifiers. And in its natural state, this is what happens. Okay. In its natural state, say you fall in love. You fall in love, and it's like, gosh, you go from a friendship of knowing somebody to go, gosh, I'm feeling love. So you go to a higher level of self. As you go to a higher level of self, what happens is that you go, well, if you want to stay at this higher level, again, it magnifies the weaknesses that you are. And that for that purpose, you go, gosh, you know what? All the insecurities show up when you start to fall in love with somebody, right? All your insecurities is like, what if they find out about this? What if they find out about that? So most individuals, unfortunately, they hide their insecurities. In XI, what we do is we go, okay, those are the weaknesses. Let's turn them into strengths, because highly successful individuals turn their weaknesses into strength. Right. So what does that have to do with COVID and that? So what does that have to do with COVID overall? Okay, so if your patterning is hiding your weaknesses and strengths, your weaknesses, and not turning them into strengths. Just like relationships, a lot of people, that's why their relationships fall apart. That's why I say money doesn't provide happiness for individuals. Because again, money is supposed to give you a stability factor for you to work on the weaknesses that you have. Spirituality, or rising to a higher level of spiritual, say, presence, it allows you to stabilize yourself as you let go of who you are. Love, like I just mentioned, again, it allows you to get stable with that person so you can let go of your weaknesses, right? So um, um, you can become fragile to yourself because you have a safe environment. And again, it allows you to disconnect from that, right? So that's the key. XI allows you to create, again, how many of you are on the 18-day meditation, right? We create a strong foundation for you, and then it allows you to look back and you go, you know what, that stuff that my parents were running, including health patterns, genetic patterns, I don't need it anymore, because that's a weaker version of me. So again, it's always creates stability, and then it allows you, again, it allows stability and strength, and then it allows you to disconnect. What COVID does, the mRNA, it messes up, again, it amplifies who you are or the patterns that you run. Right. So what happens is that it shows up the weaknesses, but it didn't give you a strong platform. So it just like exposes the weaknesses. So you're at this level. Okay. You're at a level 0, let's just say level 2. You're at level 2, and then you're supposed to be at level 4 or 5 or higher to, again, expose those weaknesses so they turn into strengths. Okay. What most people do again, just for clarity again, what they do is they're a level 2, they fall in love, they go to a level 5, but then they what they do is they don't change anything at a level 2. They literally bring their level 2 self up to a level 5 self. And that's where, say, love becomes destructive for them because they didn't disconnect. So they just brought their old self into a magnified version of their self. So COVID does that as well. COVID literally takes your old self, especially genetic patterns, but then also mental patterns, psychological patterns, and deep level, say, cellular patterns, because that's what the mRNA vaccine does. It edits your back. It edits how your the DNA communicates to your cells. Part of that, part of that, say, communication is how you process information. Okay. It goes into your autonomic nervous system, and I can't give you all the details here because, but in the COVID after effects talk that we're going to do, it's we're going to talk about more about the science, and then also a deep state meditation for you to get rid of that. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But back to my example, what COVID does, again, is just accelerates. Again, it's a magnifier, and what happens is that it starts to magnify who, who, and what your weaknesses are, and it's not just physical; it's emotional. It's your anxiety, it's your, say, success patterns. It's that one frequency that dictates your whole life. Right? From XI's perspective, you literally have one frequency that shades the rest of your life. So if you're running, say, abuse patterns, okay, or like unlucky patterns, then you're going to get connected, or your whole life is going to be about abuse. Your whole life is going to be about, say, being unlucky. Look at it again. If you're getting, say, shortchanged, you have a pattern of being shortchanged. Okay, all aspects of your life, health, wealth, relationships, is going to be a pattern of being shortchanged. So with COVID, what happens is that it magnifies that, say, general frequency that you're operating at. And then what happens is that you perpetuate towards the wrong path faster for you. Okay. So it's not just physical issues. There's going to be a lot of people who have mental breakdowns because of COVID, because again, their mental stability is not that great. Their familial values or depression, and this is where the rate of suicide, as say, skyrocketed. Because one, this dimension is not, say, this dimension, this dimension that's coming in, it's a wave of purity, and you can't hold on to your weaknesses or the lies that you live. COVID accelerated that pattern for you. So you can't hide it even more. Okay? You can't hide your weaknesses. And a lot of people just don't have that stable factor. So what we do in XI, and we did the COVID after effects or vaccine after effects. What we did with that for those people who took the COVID shot, and some of you who did the vaccine after effects, again, comment in on how beneficial that was. And this is the logistics or the science that I use to help those individuals. So basically, COVID broke down the communication, or basically broke down, say, the factors of who you are at a deep level. And but it didn't provide a safe space for so a solid ground. So what we did on the COVID vaccine after effects, and we're adding another one for you as well for the long COVID, is literally, it's like, okay, you're broken down. Let's quickly create a solid identity of who you are, so you can take advantage of being broken down through the vaccine. And this is for those individuals who were healthy enough to transform themselves. This is where they got rid of some of their health issues for good. So again, using that, like, again, just like a XI ninja, using whatever comes to you for the benefit of you. Okay. Demystifying the COVID enigma, the long COVID enigma, why it's just struggling here. So the reason for that, from what I'm seeing, because it sticks with you, your body doesn't know what to do with this virus, because it's not a natural virus. It's not, say, the genetics or the functioning of, say, a natural or organic virus. Okay, it feels like manufactured, just like processed sugar. It's a genetically modified virus from my point of view. Okay, and just like say sugar, it's natural sugars. Your body, your body has a process. Your body already knows what natural sugars look like. Right. However, in the 1970s, when they introduced corn syrup, right? High fructose corn syrup and all those derivatives, diabetes went skyrocketing. So you can take a look at it yourself. 1970s, they introduced high fructose corn syrup, right? And again, some other derivatives. About a year or so later, you started to see people uh, uh, gain excess weight really, really fast. You start to see those say deformed type fat bodies. You've seen individuals, right? And they don't know what the hell's going on. It's those individuals again. Your genetics got messed up by the corn, by the high fructose corn syrup. The reason why I bring that up is because if you're eating genetically modified sugars or processed foods, and you've got COVID, it accelerates that because it's already fucked up your genes anyway, or your genetics, right? The foods that you've been eating, and then COVID messes it up a bit more, right? So, and then what happens, and what I see in people as well, take a breath in, just helping you say cleanse out, especially in the lung area, or help you become aware of say anything that's foreign for you that shouldn't be there. Like bits of metal or anything like that. When I see the COVID vaccine in people, I kind of see say tiny, tiny slivers of metal shouldn't be there. So your body, just like the unknown sugar, and this is where diabetes comes in. So I'll finish that thought for you, so you have a clear thought. Is that in the 70s, again, you eat uh, high fructose corn syrup. You drink it. It's in all the sodas and so on nowadays. You drink it, your body goes, "Oh, it's sugar," and it's like but it's a very foreign sugar. I don't know what to do with this. And again, because there's no mechanics, there's no program. Okay, the molecules of that sugar, for example, the modified sugar, doesn't match with the molecules of a normal sugar, what it should look like. So this is where also it's not just it's like stevia and sugar and the low whatever it is that comes in the pink things you see in restaurants. Again, those are chemically modified, so the chemical structure of those sugars does not match say the receptor cell in your body, and your body goes, well, what the hell, I need sugar, this isn't sugar. So you start to eat more sugar, and you're just judging sugar by the taste. It's not about that. It's about the chemical structure. So the receptors don't know what to do with it. It's like, well, fuck, we'll just throw it away somewhere. And this is where, again, obesity, un, unreal obesity that never happened. If you look at beach scenes back in the 50s, there's not a lot of fat people around, right? It's kind of crazy, right? Anyway, so the reason why I bring that up is because those individuals who've had a life of genetically modified sugars, you're going to be affected by that even more. So I encourage you, again, it's all up to you. I encourage you not to just stop taking genetically modified foods. Right? The long COVID, getting into that, um, getting into that again, since your body, just like the sugars, since your body doesn't know what to do with this virus, it's like I don't know what to do with it, um, and you just hold on to it, and it just settles into the soft tissues, especially of your lungs, your heart. And this is where we start to have issues. It irritates the lungs and heart, the nervous system as well. Okay. So if you're very sensitive, say in your brain, to your head, it'll settle in the brain area, and this is where people get aneurysms and so on like that. If you are sensitive in the heart area, you'll get that. If you're sensitive in the stomach area, according to your frequencies, you'll get symptoms or issues in in the gut. So long COVID, again, is just a residue that your body doesn't know what to do with, and then it just keeps irritating it for you. Okay, there are things that you can do to eliminate. It's on my Telegram channel, so and just look through previous posts, or if somebody can post it on here. That'd be fantastic on what you can do. There are supplements that help clean that out for you. And also, what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but nicotine, um, I wouldn't smoke it, but nicotine, what happens is nicotine and the COVID vaccine and just the flu have the same receptor. So, so what happens is that the COVID, say vaccine, the COVID virus sticks on to a receptor when you take nicotine. And again, I'm not saying you should smoke, but maybe take some drops of nicotine just to try it out. I'm not saying it works, but what happens is that since it's a natural element and it's the same or a similar pattern, what happens is that it'll drop the COVID virus and then attach on to the nicotine, which again fades away. So that's a, and then do a kidney cleanse or whatever cleanse, blood cleanse. You can even donate blood, by the way, to help you clean out. So that's one way. Uh, let's talk about the shame among healthcare heroes. And again, there are individuals who knew that the vaccines weren't, say, the best for you, right? They were having, but they pushed it anyway for their for. We're not going to be talking about those individuals, okay? They've got their own issue to wrestle with, and it is going to be a severe issue to wrestle with. By the way, when you've caused the death of a lot of individuals, so the pharmaceutical companies looking for, a lot of money, and you've killed a lot of individuals, and not only causes, so those leaders, so to speak, that pushed their agenda onto the masses, it's not going to only affect the leader, but your downline, your genetic family around you, you're going to get fucked up. Right? It's just a natural course. So if you were one of those individuals listening to this, again, it's not me. Don't go, oh, we got to silence this guy. It's already happened. Right? I'm just telling you what's happening. I'm just telling you because I see the future vision. I'm just telling you what will happen to you and your family, your downline. Okay? This is the sins of the father. This is where people who have sold themselves, right? I'm not going to name names, but there's enough families like, the Koch family, yeah. Any of those individuals, you look at their family lineage, and then those individuals, even outside of COVID, they get strange death. Their children are more mentally disabled or whatever, what have you. Okay, that's the cause of, say, selling yourself for the benefits of this reality and not worrying about other people. Okay, so if you were that individual that harmed physical individuals, again, at a physical level and also at a mental level, and the severity, millions of people that are going to die, just direct result, and then after effects of all this, those burdens are upon your shoulders. Again, if you actively knew that something was going on, and then uh, and you pushed your agenda on it. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. And you'll see that not 10 years down the line, not 20 years down the line, because COVID is a magnifier, even if you didn't take that. What'll happen is that those families will start to get strange diseases, even if you did not take the vaccine. And I'd actually like to know if those leaders themselves, I'd like to have them tested if they actually did take the vaccine. So that would be, I don't know how many of you would like that, but we should put that on a Twitter, or now it's called X post. It's like, hey, how many of you would like to know the leaders that pushed the vaccine, the pharmaceutical CEOs, and those types of individuals, right? The legislature and the governments of all the world, did they actually take the vaccine for themselves? I'd like them. I'd like them to be tested with it. And if they didn't, they should take the vaccine, right? And a couple booster shots to boost as well. But even without that, guys, it's not going to be a good thing, especially in this realm. And it's not just about the COVID. Any lies that you've lived will come up to the surface for you. Right? By the way, it's not there to punish you. It's just that you cannot hold on to those lies anymore. Again, this is not a punishment. It's about cleansing out what shouldn't be there for you. Right? But the thing is the more you have to clean out, the more painful it becomes, unfortunately. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the healthcare workers that, had to do it. Okay. The COVID after effects talk and meditation is going to help you with that. So that is, you did it for your job, right? You got the vaccine because you got pushed into doing your job. Again, not awakened, but at least you were forced to do it, again, against your own volition. So I can help you with that. And the way that works is that you were, and the way that works at a deeper level is like you didn't have a say on how you developed yourself because you weren't awakened. Okay. So basically you're an after effect of your parents. Does that make sense? So your gene pool is from your parents and whatever they inherited. Okay. So generation and generation that happens. So unknowingly to you you didn't sign off on it, but you weren't awakened enough to sign off on it. And you go, well, I'll just have what mom and dad's having. Hence, you carry forth, your genetic patterns, health issues, other the way you age, psychological issues, all those disturbances of the family, addiction patterns, right? So this is where in XI, I've helped those individuals who, you know, have tried everything else, but they couldn't get away from those patterns, those genetic patterns. This is where XI came in for the rescue for many of you. Right? What happens is you are, say, released of so that contract that you say inherited from your parents automatically. Say like your parents die, right? You inherit their physical possessions. Well, basically when you're born, you inherit their, say, genetic, say, makeup. And through XI, and again, I'm just telling you what I see, I theorize. We've had enough field studies to prove that something's there, but no clinical studies. Right? A lot of field studies, a lot of actual people, living people transforming their lives. So again, if you're carrying like heart issues or whatever, again, inherited, what happens is that you have a chance or propensity to release that. Many of you have aged differently than your parents because of XI, right? So it's that same pattern. Unknowingly, you signed off on how your life is going to be. So with XI, that allows me to go, hey, you know what? Wake up. You signed something that you didn't even know that you signed. Okay. So the same thing with the vaccine type. You were forced. That's the key. You were forced. You had to do it for your to stay alive. To save your livelihood. Again, you were forced or unknowingly didn't know the consequences of that because you were lied to. Through media and other propaganda, you were lied to. So those individuals, again, who are, say, healthy and have an opportunity to transform and shift, just like what we do in XI, we can say disconnect that from you, and this allows you to, again, there's really fantastic doctors that were forced to give their patients boosters or the vaccine, and now they feel really, really guilty. So this allows you to say release that guilt for you, right? And it allows you again to remove, and those people who did take it and are alive, this allows you to again undo some of the genetic mishaps that the vaccine have caused. Again, I'm not claiming anything, but there's been enough field studies. So again, this helps you alleviate or come into better mental health about the vaccine for you as well. Talking about mental health, like I said, and then um, we'll get into scanning individuals. What'll happen is mental health. Again, if you're weak, okay, and most individuals, no offense, in today's society are weak. Okay, they don't have that mental fortitude. Okay, and many individuals, many families do have mental issues. They've got say from the range of Alzheimer's to again being bipolar to even more extreme, say, mental issues in their family, right? Even if you don't currently have it, then you took the vaccine or you got infected by COVID, you see those mental health issues rise. And if you have like suicide patterns in your family, unfortunately, then that's where suicidal rates rise as well. You can also disconnect from that. So, and that's what we're hoping for. Again, this is just a test. I'm not claiming anything, but the COVID vaccine after effects that we did in the past really worked out well for a lot of people. All right. So, mm, just checking in on. So, what we're doing again as a test, what we're doing is that we, along with this, and I think the team can put a link to this if you're interested, is that we're creating a where are we here? We're creating another vaccine after effects, okay, for long COVID and all the symptoms that we talked about that are coming up. Now that I know more, now that I've actually helped people with those issues and symptoms derived from again the vaccine or just the natural COVID. So I've gained enough, say, knowledge about the frequencies that are needed for you to benefit from that. So what we're doing is we're adding on an extra module, an extra hyper meditation for you, and it's free to those who have the COVID vaccine after effects. Uh, so module already. Okay, so so again, really helping out the individuals at a very different level. Okay, all right. So was this information helpful for you? It gives you a whole different it gives you a whole different perspective on, say, COVID, and the reason why things happen the way they do. Okay. All right. So, oh, yeah, yep. So, shedding, this will help you with shedding as well. All right. So let's take another, uh, are we promoting anything, buddy, or no? Awesome. So yeah, so as we get into the scans again, what powers the scans is the London event coming up for you, and then also Ibiza. The London event is about quantum jumping. Okay. It's about quantum jumping and allowing like true success to come in, allowing new ways of goal setting, dimensional goal setting, as I call it. It allows you to understand, say, wealth the proper way. It allows you to understand, again, health, wealth, relationships, even spirituality. Now, there's a lot of people, in Silicon Valley. That what they've done is like they've got into altered states using ayahuasca or what is it? MDM? No, what is it? DM. I forgot. Yeah, DMT or something similar to it. I think it's called something else, but it's similar to DMT. But again, those altered states isn't really functional, and it messes you up, as you can see. Elon kind of getting unstable there, and many others. So the quantum jumping and what we're going to do in London is do it the proper way. Do it how you naturally do it in your at a natural level that goes beyond the mind. So, and then Ibiza is going to be an event of really understanding who you are as your divine self. So, really creating that solid identity of who you are and really owning yourself as a divine female or divine male. It doesn't matter. but again, owning who you really are and coming into your gifts and abilities. So take a look at that for you. Then we'll get into the scans. So the scans, again, through through I don't know, a dozen years of research, uh, and then also, gosh, over about 100,000 client sessions. Nobody can say that, because again, it's not about time; it's about frequencies, and that's why I can do so many sessions. So I've learned a lot. So really transforming, and what I've done is I've been able to say pinpoint exactly what's going on with you without knowing anything about you. Simple as that. Okay. So let's see here. Layla, is it Lyle? Layale? Sorry. Uh, yeah. Can I get a scan, please? Just got COVID. So again, you just got COVID. So really strengthen, drinking a lot of water, drinking a lot of this, supplements that they suggest, and a lot of times if you're strong, you can turn the COVID into, say, an opportunity for growth and strength, just like, so you can turn it back to what a natural flu would be. Okay. So so what that means is that it's a great opportunity for you to shed away, and that's what you're doing right now, by the way. It's You're allowing yourself to again shed away those things that aren't needed for you anymore. And as a confirmation for you, by the way, you're going to start cleaning up your house. You're going to start getting rid of those things that aren't beneficial for you. So that's where you are. COVID, again, you're going to use COVID to disconnect, say, the toxins, frequency toxins, psychological toxins, and then physical toxins out of it. So after you come out of it, it's going to be a fresh, new, say, experience of life for you, new opportunities for you. So that's where you are, Layla. Let's see here. 21AR would love a scan. It just seems that you got stuck in your teenage years, from what I'm seeing. I don't know how old you are, but it just seems like you're a younger, or if you are a teenager, you're still stuck in the beginning of teenage years, or even if you're older, you're stuck in the younger days, or um, say, for example, say there was a divorce that occurred, or you got sick or something. Again, what happens is that you're older, but this version of you is still existing for you, and you're becoming aware of that through whatever you're doing with XI, and you're literally pulling away. But what where you are now is that you need to disconnect from this, say, reference point. Okay, and this is where you can actually heal yourself of whatever happened in your younger days. Take a breath in. Most other, and I'll work on you. And again, what was it? 21AR. Comment in on the accuracy of that read as I work on you. So if I'm working on this individual, if you have of similar issues, I'll be working on you as well. So even if you're a spectator and just listening in, I'm still working on you. Even if you're listening to this as a recording, it'll still work on you. Okay. So for you, again, 21AR, for you, let's disconnect you from this reference point. Most individuals who go through like trauma counseling or addictions, or whatever else that's out there, again, that's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but what they don't do, that XI does, is like, okay, when you're going through, say, trauma therapy and all that stuff, right? Um, Even, addiction centers and so on. What they don't do is they don't remove your reference point. So your reference point, in this case, something happened in the young teens or preteens, perhaps. So their reference point is of this experience. So no matter how old you get, no matter how successful you get, they're always referencing this reality. So if you're an alcoholic, for example, you're referencing the time that you realized you were an alcoholic, and you're always going, I'm an alcoholic and I need to move away from that pattern. So you always need this reference point to identify who you are. Okay. In XI, and then that way you never get rid of whatever is happening to you. Okay, you can never completely get rid of your addictions or your issues or your abuse patterns. What NXI does is like, okay, let's go back and just heal this pattern for you. And then you don't have to reference this stuff for you anymore. You can reference something in front of you of what you want compared to where you are, which is a better, say, scenario for you. So, again, that's part of that dimensional goal setting that we talk about. That we'll be doing a lot in the UK and London. This one, Rita Greaves, I would love a scan, please. Um, so Rita, for you, I don't know if your parents are around, or you took care of your parents, or your parents were dominating. Um, but it's that kind of pattern for you. And now, so basically, there's always been a cloud over you, right? And you never were really yourself. Although you might be older, you're actually a little younger because basically your parents have told you or expected what Rita should be like. Does that make sense? And now, again, congratulations with XI. It's like shit. You know what? Uh, I see that there's a cloud over me. I don't want that cloud over me anymore. So you're starting to say push away from your parents' patterns. You're starting get into say uncomfortable situations, which is really good for you because you're so the reason why that's good for you, and I'm just giving you a heads up as I work on you, Rita, on this mini session. By the way, you guys, you can have extended sessions. You can do impact sessions as well. um, but these are just mini sessions just to get you on your way. So for you, Rita, you're going to get into uncomfortable situations. Okay. So those uncomfortable situations are opportunities for growth and expansion. Okay. You've always hid yourself. You've always hid your talents. You've hid your whole identity because, again, expectations of your parents. So now it's an opportunity for you to step out into the limelight. So when you get into these uncomfortable situations, don't fall back to your default state. It's like, well, it's just easier to do what mom told me to do in this situation. No, you don't want to do that. You're going to have that opportunity, and then you're going to go, no, what would Rita want to do in this experience? And that's where you go. Okay. What would Rita do? And you ask yourself that question. Again, Rita or anybody else that runs that pattern, again, of having expectations put upon them. Now you have an opportunity to be yourself. You'll see the old possibilities of you and then the new possibilities. Again, always ask. Okay. That's my old possibilities. By the way, if you use your old possibilities, you're going to run down and you're not going to confirm your deletions. You're basically going to go, I want to stay with my old self that was controlled. So again, always check the new by going, what would the new me do in this situation? And then go with that. Even if it feels uncomfortable for you, it'll become more comfortable for you. Okay. Just two more scans. Let's see. This is Madeline. Madeline M. I would love a scan, please. Um, so Madeline, it seems like you've got a lot of issues in the head area. It's almost like again another a loss of identity. I would say another loss of identity. So you're always in your head. You've forgotten about your body. Let's make sure that nobody else is in there with you. So, for example, Madeline, you would get controlled by people, say by your parents, or by your parents, or say you have a spouse, Madeline. Um, you would again get controlled by them. You would morph into that person's identity. Okay, say that you hung out with a guide for whatever reason, no matter who it is. And say you just had to say a business meeting, and you were together for a week for you know on this business meeting, and you hung out with a special person, you'd start to say morph into that person, or their thoughts would become your thoughts. And then you would, for you, Madeline's like, shit, why don't I like myself? Why don't I like my life? Because it's not your life. So what I'm doing here for you, Madeline, is just like separating that for you. So you start to see whose thoughts are coming into your head. You're literally like a channel, and then your thoughts, what's Madeline's thought is. Okay. And then so that way you get a clear distinction of who you are, what your thoughts are, and then what other people's thoughts are. Okay. So take a breath in, Madeline, and then the rest of you as well. This is it's a very nice gift to have if you do it right. So in its actual form, this gift is actually going, oh, I admire that pattern of that person, but then you just pull that one thread of frequencies that you're admiring, and then you copy that. But what you're doing, Madeline, is copying the whole frequency, all their frequencies into you. Okay, and then you've tried to control your life using mental objectives, but then again, this area is controlled, and you've forgotten about your body. Okay. So what I was doing for you is pulling you back into your body. Sometimes we've stepped out of our body because of the shame and guilt. I see that as well as you step in. So when you see that, again, it's you allow it to heal, allow yourself to heal from that. Let's see, it's Christina. I can't pronounce your last name. Atukhova. Oops, that is good. No, Dita. She didn't want to be scanned full of red. We'll just pick some here. Veritas Spirit, please scan me, Moss. So you are getting into, let's see, you are separating your identity from other people. So, which is a really nice place. So you're feeling the freedom of not being, say, in the human pool of thought or consciousness. So you're basically separating yourself from humans, so to speak. You're seeing possibilities of what humans could actually be like versus what they've come to be or turned into, which is really nice. But at the same time, you're kind of lost. So because again, you're new, right? So give yourself a break. You're new in this arena. It's just like getting promoted to a new job, right? You'll be new. So don't worry about, say, feeling insecure or incomplete at this level. Just observe where you are at this level, observe the newness or the awareness of possibilities for you, and then you'll get acclimated, and then you'll start using the tools at the level that you're at. Okay. There is a freshness or an expansion at the same time. So you feel possibilities and expansion, and then at the same time, you're feeling, say, that emptiness or incompleteness, or maybe you've moved away from your friends that weren't your friends anyway. So it's that kind of scenario. Again, the whole concept is that you're moving from one version of yourself to the next higher version. Okay? So it's a really nice place to be. So congratulations, by the way. Many of you are doing that. All right. Anything else I should cover, Demi, before I? Okay. All right, guys. Went a little longer, but thanks for being here, guys. Notice what you notice. The COVID vaccine after effects coming up for you. Not exactly sure. Hopefully the team put the link on there for you. Take a look at it if it's right for you. You might want to check it out. Even if you didn't take the vaccine, it's a great opportunity for you to disconnect other, I would say genetic patterns that we need to disconnect from. All right. So as we end, notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you're noticing. If you're not liking the details of what you're noticing, this is a great opportunity for you to change by choosing different. Okay. Peace. So let's just say that humans have been, say, held back decades or maybe even hundreds of years, right? In London, what we're going to do is we're going to take that quantum jump forward into where we should have been. This world, this is an opportunity for having it all. Years ago, I was predicting that, there's going to be a whole new paradigm coming through. And now, so everything's unleashed. Everything's broken. The barriers have been broken, the chains and shackles that have been tied to us have been broken, and that's the changes that we've gone through over the past couple of years. So look at you. Look how many generations back. Look at the world. So again, what are you going to do? How are you going to expand? How are you going to enhance who you are? And it's not about what you're doing, by the way. It's how awakened are you? If you're awakened, you're going to create massive value, more value than, say, again, putting your time in and time out. So this event is really a big kickoff for a lot of things. So if you are that individual who is ready to go, who is ready to be complete, who is ready to really fully realize their potential, guys, this event is for you. And again, at the Science Museum, it's gonna be an intense, transformative 2-day workshop. Saturday, so this is a separate event, but still in London. We're gonna connect with Baramji. He puts into music Rumi's teachings. It's gonna be just a cool night just to get into, say, the possibilities of who you are. So again, quantum leaping, London, UK event, a lot of great possibilities coming up, and you're going to just quantum jump into that. Now imagine if you were an awakened spirit coming into this reality. So that's what this Ibiza event is really about. And well, this is the time of freedom now. So now is that breaking point for us. It literally is a time where space and time come together. It's a whole different pattern, not just for humans. It's nature, it's the planets. Again, it's a universal transformation. I think humans should join the party. Ibiza is really special. There's a portal there. Many people experience it and feel it there. We're going to take that quantum jump forward into first principle consciousness. So that's what this Ibiza event is really about. Intimate morning meditations, daily gourmet lunch, daily dinner, private yacht to explore Ibiza, dancing parties, a lot of, say, adventures. Again, it's just going to be a great, fantastic time. Really nurturing who we are as beings. Not because we deserve it. We already know we deserve it. We're free from that. We can start to create a whole new pattern. So it's our choice. We can either go down that road and get shackled again, or we can go, you know what, this new direction that we could have been on, that we should have been on, now it's open to us again.